Well, goodness me, stage 6 already, eh? Well done to you for getting this far. I realize it hasn't been easy, but I hope you have a bit more confidence when it comes to writing in English composition. Today, we move on to stage 6. As you can see, we'll be having a look at how to support the topic sentences. If you don't remember what they were, go back and watch last week's video again. We have quite a few points to cover today, so let's not dilly-dally and get right into it. Nothing new to see here, just a quick reminder of what we'll be looking at in this video. I will be mixing up the basic structure and observe and notice sections today, as I want to use the example composition to show concretely how the structure is being used. So let's have a look at what we'll be concentrating on in this video. We've covered quite a lot so far in this course. We've looked at the basic structure of introduction, body and conclusion, and that we shouldn't be mixing topics within paragraphs. We looked at this structure in emails, and also at the finer points of writing the introduction. Last week, we started looking at writing paragraphs in the body of a composition, and this week we are going to continue on from there. I think you will remember that the topic sentence, which usually comes at the beginning of the paragraph, lets the reader know what the paragraph is going to be about. Someone should just be able to read the topic sentence and have a pretty good idea of what is coming. The majority of the paragraph, that is, the remaining 80 or 90%, is spent giving supporting information. We are going to look at 3 main ways of presenting supporting information in this video today. First, we'll have a look at the method of telling a story. Then, we'll have a chat about how you should be giving examples. Finally, we'll think about ways of providing reasons for various opinions. Let's see how these 3 points are used in an actual composition. The topic for this week's example composition is city or country. This is a classic debate topic. In this composition, the author gives both sides of the argument of whether one should live in the city or the country. As always, we should soon notice whether the paragraphs are clear and the overall balance of the composition. At the moment, everything seems good to me. Because we are concentrating on the body section, we are going to skip the introduction and conclusion, but I still expect you to read through those in your own time. In the first paragraph of the body, we're going to see how telling a story can be a good way of supporting the topic sentence. The first thing we need to do is check the topic sentence. It appears that this paragraph is about the friendliness of people. If you have a quick read through, you'll notice that it is indeed about that. From the second sentence, we see that the writer is telling a story. He or she writes, "I was born and grew up in the country." After this, he or she continues to tell a story about relationships with neighbors in the country and in the city. Telling a story is a great way of passing information. If you think about it, thousands of years ago, our ancestors told stories to their children and grandchildren, and that is how we learned some of the most important lessons of life. Telling stories of our own, or friends' personal experiences, adds a nice touch to our compositions. Let's look at the next paragraph. In the second paragraph of the body, we see that the author has given a few examples to support the topic sentences. Giving concrete examples really strengthens the content of your compositions. Now, I really want you to take special note of how the author has used "for example" here. On line 2, we see a sentence starting with "for example." In this case, the sentence is okay because it uses a verb, has. However, a lot of students tend to use "for example" like this. For example, professional baseball team, basketball team, and soccer team. But this is not a complete sentence. There is no verb. When you use for example, make sure you use it with a verb. Another option is to use for example, as you can see here, with such as on the 5th line of this paragraph. All you need to do is use a comma instead of a period, and then give the examples. Pretty simple, isn't it? The third point I'd like to make today is about providing reasons. Because is a favorite word for people wanting to give reasons for their opinions or actions. In this paragraph, the topic sentence tells us that we are going to be looking at how having children affects the decision of whether to live in the city or the country. Now, of course, using because is great, but again, many students use because incorrectly. They tend to write sentences like, because the air is cleaner. However, when we use because, we need to make sure there are two parts to the sentence, with the result coming in the opposite half to, comma, because, and then the reason for the result. A lot of students seem to make this mistake because it is acceptable in spoken English to just say something like, because the air is cleaner, when answering a why question. However, we need to remember that spoken English and written English are different. So there you have it. They were the 3 main points for this week. I really encourage you to go back to the other compositions you have written so far in this course. You should have written 5 so far, right? Go back and check whether you used a bit of storytelling, gave examples in the correct way, and used because in the way it should be used in a piece of writing. Okay, well now it's your turn to put what you've just learned into action. Here's another classic debating topic. I want you to imagine the local Board of Education has asked you to give your opinion on whether high school students should be required to wear school uniforms or not. You were all high school students at one stage, or so I believe. Make sure you try the 3 methods of supporting your topic sentences as you saw in this video. I think we've all had enough of my blabbering for this week. As usual, make sure you are ready for a super difficult quiz in class this week. Check out the Dictogloss topic to help you get a few ideas, and have your composition written and ready to be checked by your classmates. Have a great day, and I'll see you in class.